Thanks, James, and thanks everyone for joining us. I'm Alex Smith, and I'm the Programme Manager for XpoNorth Digital. For anyone new to the project, XpoNorth Digital is essentially Highlands and Islands Enterprise's specialist digital support mechanism for creative and heritage networks based across the Highlands and Islands. It's delivered by Ironworks Venue, which is who I work for. I'm just going to use today really to run through, for anyone new to the project or even who has worked with us in the past or has had some support from us in the past, just to highlight maybe some of the key parts that we're going to be focusing on for year 2 of the XpoNorth Digital delivery and what the product suite looks like. So what type of support is it that we offer? How do you access that? And there's a few key strands to the programme. The first one is specialist advice. And my colleagues on the call today will be talking much more about what that looks like and what type of support's actually offered and what that journey involves. But essentially, all parts of the project are up on our website. Specialist advice is where you get one-to-one support from sector specialists. And we have the guys in the room today that are the core bank of sector specialists that we work with. And they'll talk a little bit more about what they do specifically. There's a few other distinct parts to that too. We also have a broader network of sector specialists that we work with that are not retained by the project directly in the way the guys are here. And they can help with more specific parts of your business that maybe there's not direct expertise with in the room here. But we'll go through what that looks like together as we open the floor up. The other part to it is we also have another network that we call the Key Decision Maker Network. And essentially what that is should your business or should we collectively feel your business needs much more intensive or specialized support, we can open that up to input from some pretty significant international networks. So that's on our website as well. And we can talk through how you access that or if your inquiry with us starts to go down a route that may mean that we want to look into that, then that's another part of the project that we can open up. We also have a workshop program, and the first batch of workshops have been announced. So leading up to Christmas, there's a couple more we've got to announce, and they're open to. They're all free. They're all published on our site now, and we won't spend too much time running through them individually, although we may touch upon them when we open the floor up a little bit. And we also have, there's a couple of other flagship programs which I'm going to bring the guys here in to talk about specifically, but we also, just in case you are a student of UHI and you haven't seen this anywhere else, we have a couple of programs that we're running with them, which I'm going to ask Jessica to talk a little bit specifically about the film program, but we also have a broader creative industry development program that runs with UHI called Future Creative. So if you are within UHI's ecosystem, please get in touch with them directly and they can show you where to sign up and subscribe to them. And that's, again, monthly workshops, it's one-to-one, it's specialist mentorship. So we have a lot going on, and hopefully instead of me talking at you about what that is, I'm going to start going around the room for us because we're going to explore the framework in more detail as we do it this way. And please, if anyone has any questions, please do pop them in the Q&A part, and I'll field them either to myself or to someone else in the room. But Nicola, I'm going to ask you to come in, introduce yourself briefly and talk maybe specifically about the type of heritage work that the project delivers.
Hi. Hi, I'm Nicola Henderson. I work as the Heritage Specialist for XpoNorth Digital. We work to support heritage organisations to look at how digital can help them streamline their business, help them to be more efficient, to look at tools they could do to enhance their storytelling, to help them reach more audiences, to look at creative ways they could generate income using digital tools. And you can access all of that advice through our sector specialist segment of the work that we do. Sometimes that will come directly to me if I can help you, but I often link into my colleagues that are here today who have specific skills around digital development as well. So we help support you as a team to help you look at digital within your business and within your museum and heritage organisation. Specifically within XpoNorth, we are also working with Smartify. We launched a programme last year to support 6 museums to experiment really with being on the platform, what giving museums access to 4 million dedicated cultural audience members could do for a small to medium-sized museum. So for anybody who doesn't know, Smartify is the world's most downloaded museum app, and it offers museums a chance to put their collections on there, to create audio guides, and to use other sort of digital tools to tell the story of their collections and objects. They also have a shop and donation options, so there are ways for museums to look at how they could generate income as well. And we've worked with 6 museums over the last year. We've supported them in learning how to tell the narrative from their collections that they want to help to try and elevate those stories to the diaspora. We also have worked with them to look at digital skills in terms of digitizing those collections. What are the objects that are most important to them that they would like to share, and also the hidden gems that they can help to surface to audience members that maybe wouldn't have found them on their own. And they've worked with the Smartify team to learn skills around that storytelling, but very on a practical basis as well, on how you can digitize, how you can upload to the platform, how you create an audio tour or a video tour to help bring certain stories to life, and to experiment with charging models for that as well. And we were able to launch those stories in the summer this year. And we have a wide variety of them. We've worked with Cromarty Courthouse, and they created a building on slavery tour that takes you around the village and opens up elements of their history that hasn't been told before in a really open and engaging way. And that has been hugely successful for them. And they have seen hundreds of people interacting with that experience around the world. And that's only been into the first few months. We're now really working with them to learn how they can market it and how they can really take advantage of that being on a dedicated platform. So how can they reach the audience that's on there? How can they use that to help them target audiences anywhere in the world that they've not been able to reach before? And so that work's really starting now. And in parallel to that, within the next few weeks, we will be launching a round 2 for the Smartify programme. So if you are a museum or heritage organisation, please do get in touch. And we will launch that in the next few weeks, and you will have an opportunity to learn more about it. Smartify will host with us a little explanation kind of session that will help you understand a bit more of the opportunities that you can be gained from being on the platform. And then you'll be able to apply to have your museum as one of these test organisations, and the support that that could give you over the next kind of year or so to see how you can reach more people. But yeah, I think that's everything from the heritage side.
Fantastic, thanks so much, Nicola. And we'll maybe come back on a couple of those, a couple of the elements that you raised there, just to give a bit more context and information about some of that would be really helpful. Tim, right, can I ask you to come on and maybe similarly introduce yourself, talk maybe a bit through some of the practical work that you support the project with?
Sure, thanks, Alex. Good afternoon, everybody. Colleagues on the panel here, we all perform a function of being a specialist that we get drawn upon for specific areas of expertise that we have. And the way that we'll tend to work with people that come to XpoNorth through an inquiry is in 2 ways, really. And we all do a little bit of each. First up, we'll typically have what we would refer to as a triage session, which is a brief session where we try and establish the specifics about what it is that your needs are, explore those somewhat. And then from that, typically there's an allocation of some deeper and longer sessions on a one-to-one basis with the advisors. So those types of one-to-one sessions can go into a whole range of different areas. Now, for myself, the areas that I tend to specialize in are digital and crowd economy. So if I illustrate that with the type of things that I've been involved with, these range from simple explainer sessions to talk about what the crowd economy is and how it might fit in and enhance a particular business or address a particular business problem that you have, through to analyzing your readiness to adopt these types of approaches, what the size of the opportunity might look like, the technology platforms that are available to you, the choices that you have to make, the considerations of how you would resource these things and how you would make them function, any additional work that you might need to do. I've undertaken market researching and benchmarking exercises. So the types of things that we do are many and varied, and they're very much tailored to the specific needs of the client. The way that we would typically work is for those deeper sessions, those deeper engagement sessions that we have with the client, series of deliverables to produce for that particular client, deliver those in an agreed time frame, and then have a further discussion generally about what those findings are and if there is any further work to be done. It may be that we refer you on to a colleague to go into a particular area of work. So, for example, if we were thinking about a crowdfunding campaign, if we had established that it was something that a client wanted to undertake, they might need to do some work around developing a narrative or a story or conveying their story more effectively. And that might entail me referring them on to Jessica or somebody smart within the organization. So it's a highly personalized and specific and targeted intervention that we'll undertake. We'll deliver those pieces and then allow the client to go and operationalize those things. It is the responsibility of the client to take those things away from them. And then there's an opportunity for clients to come back to us at a later date if they wish to engage with us again to move on to the next stage. So there's a kind of approach to this. But the interventions that we can do and the insight and expertise that we can bring is very, very varied, but it will be very specific to the client's needs. I think that pretty much covers the way we work and give analyses of delivered to their clients. But happy to take any questions that you've got today, specifically about the way we work, what we do, what we can and can't do, or if you have something particular to your own needs, listen, we can address those today.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Tim. And we'll maybe again come back on a couple of those things. I'll maybe ask you to explore some of that in slightly more detail. Jessica, could I kindly ask you just a quick introduction and then maybe talk about some of the specifics of the work you do, and then maybe it would be fantastic to spend a little bit of time talking about maybe what we'll be doing with Jason this year. Awesome, thank you.
So hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm very excited to be part of a really wonderful XpoNorth Digital team. I cover the screen and broadcast and storytelling sector. So clients come to me in different industries, but mostly in media, and they're looking to get support. We have big companies, individual clients from the beginning of the creative process and creating a pitch for TV and film, to in production, to bigger companies looking to film in Scotland, to companies looking in Scotland to film elsewhere. So we cover the broad range. And as both Tim and Nicholas said, often there is an interdisciplinary aspect to a lot of these companies. So if I feel that there are elements of their activities that are best fit for Tim or Nicola or anybody else in our team, we can cross-reference. And we do really give good feedback, actionable items, and then people come back to us for different stages of their production if they need more help. I think a couple of the very exciting things about XpoNorth Digital and the strengths are there's additional content out there. It's not just talking to us, but we produce content that you can find on our website at the convenience in your own home and time that you can watch it. And also a really wonderful network. I think a lot of our clients end up talking to each other and working with each other. So there's lots of ways for you to connect with us. Specifically, one of the projects we're working on now is with Soluble Fish, which is run by an executive producer named Jason Lust, who has a Scottish residency. He's traded in the Hollywood Hills for the Highlands and is staying here for the year. He's working with Highlands and Islands based production companies. He's finding new production pathways for getting funds to fund film and TV projects in the Highlands and Islands. He's here for advice for folks who have companies that need digital media help. And he's also running a course at UHI for folks who are looking to develop, pitch, and sell their projects. So in all different kinds of ways, offering some kind of case studies. You know, Nicola and I have worked before with some clients and have done really interesting projects, and same with Tim and I. So we really do invite you to come and chat to us. If we don't think that there is a problem that we individually can solve, we certainly can solve it as a group and a team. So did I speak too fast?
Alex, can I just jump in?
Oh, of course you.
I mean, one of the things that Jessica's reminded me of there, saying, come and have a chat to us. The thing that I find extraordinary and very satisfying, and I think clients find incredibly useful, is that we can offer a very objective view. We're good to speak to, and some of our clients, I think, derive a lot of benefit by having a third party to bounce an idea off. And we're pretty good at being able to act as that critical friend. So certainly for a lot of smaller businesses, the opportunity to try out ideas on people that have some knowledge of the sector or some knowledge of that particular aspect of business is a very, very useful thing. So another time we do offer value simply through that engagement opportunity. And I know it works because the clients actually say it's wonderful to actually have an opportunity to just speak to somebody about this that hasn't been as close to it as I have for the last 2 years or whatever. So never underestimate just having somebody to listen to what you're thinking about and give you some honest feedback.
You know, I would add to that too. Sorry. Thanks. Oh, and they're off. So I would add to that too the idea that to borrow a military term, we're kind of active in the field. So in addition to advising for XpoNorth Digital, all of us are quite integrated into the fields that we're specializing in. So we're pretty current and up to date and have made all of the successes and mistakes ourselves. So we hopefully are in a good position to advise you.
Thank you so much. And yeah, I think one thing to make really clear, I guess, about the XpoNorth Digital framework of support, the inquiry has to be, I guess, related to the digital aspect of your business, or are you looking to innovate using digital? Those are the key areas we're especially keen to support with. But it's definitely worth mentioning that the support ecosystem that we have, as Jessica, Tim, and Nicola were explaining there, it's very common for clients to enter that support ecosystem with a specific inquiry about one part of their business, and very often they'll stay within that support suite and we can move them around specialists. And I think that's, again, one of the things that makes the XpoNorth Digital program fairly distinct, and sets it apart from other types of digital support that you may be accessing from other partners, other funders, other stakeholders. And we work quite closely with lots of them too, particularly innovation programs, which is quite often where we support clients to go through that journey, to bring digital innovation into their business. As the guys were talking about as well, we have a really long history of working internationally, from regional networks to some of the largest, most influential networks globally, and we're really keen to make sure that we can still use those relationships for the benefit of the business communities that we have in the Highlands and Islands. The program is fully open to any profile of business. It doesn't matter if you're an organization, if you're an individual, a freelancer, even if you're just kind of starting out in the business. So it's very open in that respect, and the application process itself, there's the parameters are not terribly strict. What we're looking for really is for the initial inquiry to be about what you feel we can help your business, project, organization, or network with, what it is you're currently doing, and what you feel that coming and speaking to us could help with. So there's no kind of there's no strict framework around what that initial inquiry looks like. And quite often we'll work with clients over the duration of the year. I mean, we have clients who come into the XpoNorth Digital ecosystem at the start of the new project this time last year, and that we're still working with now on brand new parts of their business. So it's really exciting to kind of go through that digital and innovation journey with them, being able to tap them into the types of networks that we've talked about, and go through their work with other organizations around finance or funding and those types of aspects as well. So please do ask us any questions specifically. But Nicola, I just wonder if I can come back to you maybe on, I know you talked a lot about Smartify, and I think the reason with this, I think it's really exciting, is I think the heritage aspect of what we do, relatively new to the project. I think last year, I guess, was the first year we delivered it in its current guise. I know, and we were teasing it in before that. But I just wonder if you could maybe talk a little about what's the specific type of support that you can offer heritage organisations. What are they coming to you with? What types of areas are we going to be focusing on, both within Smartify and outside of that, maybe over year two?
Thanks, Alex. I think they probably go across both areas within Smartify and out with. I think the Smartify project specifically really looks at upskilling from a digital basis intergenerationally. We work with some of our young professionals across the region, but some of our older volunteers as well, and learning around how to understand your collection better. What are the important aspects if you're thinking about digitizing it? When you're going through that decision process, how do you decide on the object? How do you decide on the platform that you're going to use, on the different methods of being able to capture that, whether you want to work with audio, still images or video, and how those different kind of aspects of media can tell the story in a different way. And I think by having access to the Smartify team through that specific element of the project, there's a way to test that, to think about what your educational and commercial goals are, and how the different aspects of telling that story can be enhanced by using those different tools. And I think even outside of the Smartify project, if that's something that you're just thinking around, you're thinking about certain exhibitions that you're putting on next year, or just some of your audience goals and how you're looking to enhance your education program, and what doing that online or using digital tools could add to that, because it is just something that kind of can enhance your current offer. And then that's something that we're happy to talk through with you and help explore what those kind of key aspects are of that story. And again, I think one of the advantages of testing that through the Smartify model is, given that they have this hugely engaged global audience with over 4 million users across the world, who have specifically signed up to an app because they're interested in arts and heritage, means that you have a target audience that you cannot replicate anywhere else. As best as we might try in our social challenges, trying to get to those numbers isn't going to happen. So you've got this really engaged audience who are interested in your product, and be able to test how, once you can tell that story in a really in a high level way, then how can that enhance how you engage with them? What are the opportunities in terms of developing more income opportunities, but also just by having a deeper relationship with your audience member? How does that help you grow your business? How does that make your museum more sustainable? And so I think in year two, we'll be looking to go from some of the learning around from year one, because we understand a bit more as to around the impact this has on the capacity of the museum. So how we can support that. We do bring in a digital content creator to support the museums in doing these things. So you're not expected to do all this on your own. You will be supported in learning a lot of the skills to do it, but you will have somebody there to test it, somebody that can start working with you on that as well. And I think we really understand how that role has been of benefit to the museums, and can look to enhance that into year two. And as I say, just even in year one at the moment, we're still kind of at that stage of really testing how we now have those experiences created. What is the real benefit of taking those to the market? And from having a lot of shared sessions with the museums last year, when we were really discussing and talking through those educational and commercial goals, one thing that resonated across all the projects, because we map all the ideas, was really that connection to the diaspora and those different stories that we were looking to tell. And there's a real opportunity now for us to test how we reach those audiences specifically, and being able to reach and engage with them. What can that mean for your museum? So I think that's really exciting. And I look forward to kind of developing that into stage two. Does that help, Alex?
Sure does. Awesome. Thanks, Nicola. I really appreciate that. And I think what we will do is we'll maybe spend a little bit of time talking maybe about some of the specific workshops that we have coming up, and just maybe to offer the audience here today a bit of additional context around that. And I mean, it's worth maybe putting out there that, I mean, we collectively feel like there's a really distinct, incredibly exciting opportunity to harness some of this new digital technology, new innovation models. The Highlands and Islands are an incredibly fertile space for that. And we believe that, you know, there's lots of ambitious, complex, sophisticated businesses we work with all the time, and it's a real passion of ours, and the backbone of the project is to try and not just get that message across, but to directly start supporting these communities to achieve some of this. So and I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking through specifically, I guess, some of the upcoming workshops that we have. I'm going to come to you first, Jessica, because I think this one maybe contextualizes some of the points we've raised and some of the work that we do. But the future of content creation session we have coming up, could you maybe just give us a little bit of an overview of that, and maybe break down why someone should attend that type of workshop?
So we have the future of content creation coming up, which is a really exciting workshop with a panel of 2 commissioners in very different areas. One who started a company called Blazing Griffin, and the other one who is with Range Media and is a commissioner in buying in content, but they are on the forefront of what kind of content in terms of TV and film are being commissioned or being told, how it's working with AI at the moment, what's going on with the strike. How do you approach people who are working for companies that are basically gatekeepers to the bigger commissions like Netflix and Amazon? And these are incredibly smart, very nice, very approachable folks working at the heart of the industry at the moment. So I think if you are from a writer, even if you're a novelist thinking, actually, my book could make a really good TV show, if you're running your own company, if you're a museum saying we are sitting on incredible stories, as Nicola knows, and one of them must be a really good fodder for a documentary, for a TV series, it could really be in any industry. I have to emphasize, if you're in any creative industry, more and more, no matter what you're selling, creating, more and more companies are just moving towards content creation to tell their story, to create a commercial, to collaborate, to embed their messaging in a story. So I would say, actually, this workshop is for everyone. If you really want to get a flavor of what's happening in content creation currently, and storytelling, and really what's going on with distribution and where things are headed. And that's on, no, you might have to correct me, but that's on November 8th. Yes, it's on November 8th.
Great, awesome, and yeah, a really good point raised by Jessica there, and I think this runs through all the content we produce. I would say is that we try to be as sector agnostic as we can. I know we've actually started talking about heritage and screen, and Tim's talked a bit about the crowd type of work that we do there too. But I think one thing to put over, I think, is that we're very mindful in programming this, that if you're part of the creative sector regionally, or the digital heritage sector, or even if you supply that sector, or are aiming to collaborate more effectively with that sector, I think that's one of the key things that we're mindful of when it comes to programming the content that we do. And I think this next session, which I'm going to bring you in on, Tim, if you wouldn't mind, is a really strong example of that theme, if you like. Tim's put together a digital audit workshop, and I think that's a really good example of that accessibility that we were just talking about there. Tim, if you wouldn't mind maybe talking through that a little, and what participants could get from that, and why they might want to take part.
Sure, yeah. I think it's also worth bearing in mind, thinking about what we've done in the past as well, and how this is relevant to the digital audit, because we've had sessions over the years that I've been involved with Expo on a range of digital technologies, going from immersive technologies, from VR and AR and XR. We've done work on AI, we've done work on patronage models and membership models. We cover all different aspects. And as you rightly point out, Alex, we try to do this in a very agnostic way. We present these things as opportunities and things to consider without particularly pushing them as necessarily that's something that you need to explore. We offer it up as an option. When we get into things like a digital audit session, we're trying to help clients understand where these things might apply specifically to them. So we're trying to give them the tools to analyze their current offer and where digital technologies that are always evolving, always new things emerging and coming together, thinking about where that could fit into their organization and their business to maybe make it work faster, make it work quicker, make it work more effectively. And so the intention is not to specify anything, but to help people understand for themselves where these things can fit in and give them the analytical tools and frameworks so that they can run the rule over their organization and see if there are opportunities within that to implement some of these. And again, it kind of emphasizes the link between the work that we do, because what might emerge from that is that a client might attend the workshop, think about there's an opportunity here for introducing a specific piece of a technical architecture or a technical digitally driven approach to enhance their business. They may then come back to Expo as an individual client to get some further assistance and guidance on how they specifically themselves might go about implementing that. And what we would always want to do is emphasize these things in a very holistic way. So it's not just a case of here's a new piece of technology, throw it at a particular problem. Generally speaking, to use these things effectively, there needs to be a bit more of a holistic analysis about whether we need to re-engineer a process or rethink functional aspects of how business operates. So we always try to bring that very holistic thinking, and we work from the generality of raising awareness of emerging technologies right the way through the various stages to how it specifically applies to an individual client. And so that would be the purpose of this particular workshop. It's a kind of intermediary step where we help organizations analyze the various elements in the value chain of their business and where digital technologies could potentially apply to that and where it may be able to bring benefits if it's introduced. And then the next step would be the practicalities of what that actually means for the organization. That's where we might move into a one-to-one session. So there is a continuity about what we do. It all kind of links together, but that's the kind of aim and purpose of attending a workshop like that. You will go away from it with analytical frameworks and tools that allow you to think about the application of these ideas in the context of your own business, and then we can move towards operationalizing that. I think does that cover it reasonably well for you, Alex?
Fantastically well, Tim. Yeah, thank you so much. And as Tim kind of alluded to there, I think one of the other advantages of a model like XpoNorth Digital is that the entry points are incredibly diverse. I think quite often what will happen is a customer will come in through an initial exposure to a workshop, and that may raise an idea or something that they would like to explore further. And I think as well that the project is pretty distinct in what it tries to achieve. I think I think very often other programs are quite contained on certain spaces, and I think one of the benefits, not just the ability to transition clients between sector specialist framework that we have, but also that this is it's very open around and collaboratively to try and understand what it is that you feel we can help your business to move forward. And so very expansive and flexible in that respect. I wonder maybe if Nicola, maybe bring you back in if you wouldn't mind to talk maybe about some examples of how that works in heritage, where someone's maybe come in with something that appears distinctly heritage, and then they maybe work within our broader ecosystem to more widely solve that problem and introduce new ways of thinking, new business models, new innovations into the way that they work.
Yeah, well, often the inquiry will come to me around a really interesting story or a piece of heritage, and that's what will get me hooked and engaged as well, and we'll have a really interesting conversation around that. But when you start to dig under it, what they're looking to achieve will be something that's a little bit different. So they may be looking to think around, if it was linked to the crowd economy, how they're looking to bring in more people, maybe generate some income from that, and that's where that would perhaps draw on the skills of Tim more, because he has huge experience and knowledge within that area, and we would work as a team on that, because understanding the kind of story that the organization is looking to tell would be where I would hope to dig into that with the client, whereas a little bit more in that kind of more practical needs of what they would need to put their idea into practice would draw to Tim. And I think Jessica and I have worked often together, because heritage and museums are about stories. They are about people's lives. They're about really bringing our heritage from the past to life and how it can help shape our future. And when a museum can come to us with some really interesting ideas and interesting stories, by involving Jessica in the conversation, we can really unpick new ways to tell those stories, whether it's speaking to a filmmaker or a podcast creator or another member of the media team. Then we can really look at how that story could be told, and then how it can be taken to market as well, so it can reach as wide an audience as possible. So by all of us working together, it's very rare that a client will come and just meet with one of us. It's quite often that we all need to come together to really unpick it and look at where all our different skills will intersect, and to support making their idea a reality.
Fantastic. And I'm going to go over a couple of other parts of the project that we're shortly going to be announcing that have been a really big part of what we've done historically over the years. One of them is that we are going to be producing what was the tweet pitch. I'm not sure what we're going to call it now. So that will be back in the end of January, and we'll be announcing that hopefully over the next couple of weeks. And there will again be a dedicated prep session for that, and that has been a long-standing activation that we've produced through the project, incredibly effective, where writers get to tweet their work to publishers, to agents, and we've had some extraordinary success with that. Tim, maybe I can bring you in to talk maybe about some of the other ideas we have, specifically maybe around AI, if we can touch that. I know we've discussed a little bit about what our intention might be there, and I think that's something, again, that with the early block of content out there for people to have a look at the areas that we're covering there, I think just to give our audience a heads up on maybe some of the other spaces we're looking to explore as we move through the year would be really useful too, I think.
Well, I think AI is a really interesting example, because it speaks to that idea that I was referring to before, that we go from the general to the specific. So as we get more and more involved with the AI side of things, we've had sessions at our conferences where we've talked about some of the moral and ethical issues associated with it. We've talked about some of the regulatory aspects of it. But we'll move more progressively towards the practical uses of AI. And there are a whole range of areas where this may be deployed in a range of different ways. And some of that will be around sophisticated customer engagement and understanding, but a lot of it will be around content production and efficiencies that can come out of these things. So we'll approach the topic from a range of different areas, of different perspectives, and always try to make sure that when we get to dealing with clients on a one-to-one basis, that we're applying it not from a kind of theoretical point of view. We'll be applying it specifically to the needs of that particular client. And that might be efficiency, that might be something around content production, but by the same time, same token, it may be about analysis and understanding. So it's that's progressive continuum that we have, where we deal with things at a high level, a theoretical level, try to avoid some of the hype, if you will. And there's AI is a perfect example. There's a great deal of hype and discussion, which is not necessarily strictly applicable to anybody in their particular work circumstances. But we have that journey that we can take people on, from understanding the high level considerations right the way through to applying it on a one-to-one basis with clients. So I think it's a terrific example. And I just was going to actually expand on something that Nicola was talking about, working with clients. Without speaking a particular client, we had a client that was interested in expanding their particular business. And one aspect of their business relied very much on provenance, as quite a lot of businesses in the Highlands and Islands areas do. This is a real value that they can commercialize. And that particular engagement meant that we had 3 different specialists dealing with that client, on one of them dealing with e-commerce, one of them dealing with client and supply chain management, and one of them dealing with, in this case, Nicola, talking about how the heritage sector had a role to play in developing and enhancing that provenance aspect of the business. So it's our ability to be able to bring these different perspectives and work collectively as a group of specialists that give us this ability to give a very holistic but very specific set of answers to a client's needs. That was a bit off topic there, actually, but I couldn't resist throwing it in.
Fantastic. No, absolutely. Strange. You answered kind of something I was going to come to next, but I guess, Jessica, to bring you in maybe something similar, I guess, maybe if we can touch upon maybe some of the things that we'll be putting together, hopefully, because the next batch, the way our project works, we'd be aiming to announce the next batch of workshop content, hopefully kind of November, December time, to run kind of January to March. And Jess, I wonder if you wouldn't mind talking a little bit, I guess, about, we've spoken a lot about Jason, and that's a huge part of our project, and I think that's going to be transformational for anyone engaging with it, and it's an incredibly important part of what we do. But I wonder, outside of that, maybe some of a typical, if there is such a thing, request that might come to you, what type of support specifically can you offer that? And then maybe, I guess, too, about some of the themes that we're going to be looking at in your space specifically as we move kind of post-Christmas throughout the project.
Absolutely. So to go backwards first, so I think some of the themes that we're going to be looking at kind of post-Christmas and onwards, and it would actually be very interesting. I just want to open it up to folks in the Q&A box. If you do have things that you would like to see, be panel talks or topics of discussion, I'd be very interested to hear from the folks today what you're interested in. But going forward, you know, there's all kinds of things happening with digital publishing, how digital publishing is crossing over to adaptation, new forms of distribution. And what I mean by that, I think if anyone's seen the news about Taylor Swift, how she completely circumvented the traditional Hollywood studio system and just decided to put her documentary out in cinemas herself. She's not the only one doing that. So there's really innovative ways of getting your story out to your community without having to wait in line for like the bigger distributors. So those are some of the topics we're going to be looking at, I think, post-Christmas that are kind of the most exciting and also the most practical. So a little story we had, without using names, the first part of your question was kind of what happens when a client comes, what kind of support do we offer, and what does it look like, where does it go? So we had a filmmaker who's very interesting, wanting to do a documentary about a talent that exists in the Highlands and Islands. And we helped him find funding. And post, you know, if you make a film in a forest and no one is around to see it, does it exist at all? So we need to find an audience. So he came back to us and we looked at innovative distribution models. Before he was able to offer it to a broadcaster, he needed outside eyes on it. You know, you need experts in their fields offering you feedback. Often you're in the weeds of your project. I don't think this is just only for film. My guess is, Nicola and Tim, I see your heads nodding. Often if you're the creator of something, you're kind of too familiar with it. It's really, since we're in a communication medium, especially with XpoNorth Digital, it's really important to think, okay, is my idea translating? Is what I'm intending for this thing translating? There's a great quote by Antonia Portia, who is a South American poet, who said, "I know what I have given you. I don't know what you've received." And I think getting outside feedback and advisors is important. So we hooked him up with outside feedback and high-level advisors. There's something called the high-level advisor scheme for folks. When appropriate, we find a high-level advisor in their field to offer feedback. And then from there, using the XpoNorth Digital Network, we found him distribution. So we don't often get to see the whole process unfold before us, but those are kind of different levels of where we're at with certain clients. And it's not just about film. And again, it's not just about TV. I think we help in terms of offering digital communications really in a whole range of ways.
Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much, Jessica. A quick question in is, and I guess I'll put this to you, Jessica, and I'm happy to expand on it too. Susan Clemens put in the chat there, just interested in contacting publishers for my book.
Awesome. I would say, please contact us, get a session, because if I can't help you, we also have people within the publishing sector advice that can help you. We have a couple events coming up that, besides like a one-on-one session, so I could hear a little bit more about your writing and what kind of publishers you're interested in. We will be at the Wigtown Book Festival, which is in a week's time, and there's going to be a very interesting speaker there called Gavin, who works between publishers and digital publishers. I think what he has to say will be very interesting. Not sure if that's going to be recorded or not. So for you to listen. We also have specialty advisors that we could connect you with who do work in the publishing sphere. So please, sounds like you're a perfect future XpoNorth Digital client. Please contact us for sector specialist advice.
And I think specifically for this inquiry too, worth mentioning the tweet pitch again, an incredible opportunity to pitch work to publishers, to agents, and because that's so firmly established now, I think we have the buy-in and credibility and relationships with a huge range of that infrastructure, and we've had some pretty extraordinary results from that activation over the years as well. Conscious that we're kind of imminently running out of time, so please do put any other questions you might have. Please do put them to us. But I guess to recap slightly, I guess, is I think it's worth noting a few things. One is that XpoNorth Digital is specifically set up again around digital innovation. That's what we exist to do. That's the type of inquiries that there has to be, that aspect in inquiry for us to be able to offer that type of support. And there usually is, in truth. The other aspect is that we're also specifically interested in the economic impact of the economic business development to you. So let's enable increased innovation, higher commercialization of what you do, new distribution pathways, new relationships, collaboration to create scale. Those types of areas are what we're specifically keen to work with you on. Again, that is something, I guess, that makes our project distinct from other support that may be open and exist to you, which that's less of a concern. For us, it's absolutely about there has to be that distinct digital innovation aspect to it, and when we come into it, it is about the kind of economic development, the commercial development of it, the scaling, innovating faster, any of those types of areas. Just if that helps shape or inform how you might approach the project. That being said, that is sometimes something that happens as we collaboratively explore what the inquiry contains. So I hope this has been helpful, and any final thoughts, and please, if you do have a last minute question, please do put it in. But any final thoughts from anyone else?
I was just thinking of the specific of the digital and getting a book published. And just some of the things that we've done in the past. I was just thinking of when we got Chris Bonello to come and speak about his experience of publishing through a crowdfunded platform and going through that digital route and effectively self-publishing himself on Unbound and telling his story of how that went. So we're always alive to these things, and there's a lot of historical material that we've got that speaks to some of these particular topics very directly.
Yes, well said. And I think it's worth mentioning too that we've been producing the entire project output, with the exception of a few physical events, wholly online since really the start of the pandemic. And the result of that is we've built up a really extensive content resource library which covers an unbelievable amount of areas. So please do go onto our site and check out the current content that we have up there. It's some pretty extraordinary stuff. And we have another question in which we put out there, run the Orkney Folklore and Storytelling Centre in Orkney Islands. Would the centre fall into the remit of museum as I offer heritage events? Nicola?
Yes, yeah, definitely get in touch. Happy to chat to you about any of your events and your general programming. I think storytelling comes under culture, and there are a lot of creative ways that maybe we could work together. So yeah, absolutely. Please do get in touch.
And possibly even for the Smartify, the next edition of the Smartify partnership.
Yes, yeah, possibly as we say, the new information on that will be released in the next few weeks, and there'll be an information session. So we'll make sure that goes to everybody that is here today. And if you're interested in coming along to find out, please do. So if you're interested in the Orkney Storytelling Centre being part of that, then definitely that's a conversation to have as well. But also if your inquiry is related to something else, then absolutely happy to talk through.
I think leave it to the American to toot our own horn, but I just wanted to say we have a really good team here at XpoNorth Digital, and we really, all my colleagues just really want to help. So if you feel that maybe you're on the fence and you don't know if you actually, it kind of links up with what you're doing, don't just get in touch with us anyways. We'd be very, very happy to chat to you.
Yeah, I think part of the role of good consultancy is sometimes opening up aspects that perhaps the client hasn't thought about. And it's not just that idea and that opportunity to have a chat with somebody else, fantastically useful though that is, but sometimes people can bring different perspectives analytically and prompt you to think about things in a different way as well. So and a good consultant, and I think we're all good consultants, a good consultant is good at unpacking those things and offering up things that perhaps you hadn't even thought about in a session that you have. So I do encourage you to have a chat with us. We don't bite, and we're reasonably understandable sometimes, but do get in touch. We love to have a chat with you, and I'm sure that you will find a useful few minutes conversation, even if it doesn't develop into a long-term engagement with us.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And just to recap on that, I guess that there's a number of ways to get in touch with us. Everything's up on our website. If for any reason you feel that a specialist advice form is not where you want to enter into our support structure, please do drop us an email. There's another part of our site that allows you to do that, to even ask any preliminary questions before going through the actual specialist advice service. Please do check out our current range of workshops that are available. I think it's a really great start to year 2, and we're really excited about what we're going to be doing for the remainder of year 2. We will be announcing full details on the Smartify collaboration for this year, hopefully over the next couple of weeks. I think Nicola is about the timeline for that, and things like the tweet pitch as well, that will be announced in the next couple of weeks as well. We're just confirming some of the final dates and some of the mechanics around that. So an awful lot we feel to get excited about. We're really excited to meet new businesses, continue our relationship with ones we currently work with, and we'd love to hear how we can help with the digital aspects of your business. So please do get in touch. Please do come along to a workshop. Please do go and look on our website at the range of resources we have. In fact, we neglected to mention the new podcast series we've just announced. We do have a couple of minutes, Jess, if you want to come in on that quickly, because that would be a good one to touch.
Yeah, absolutely. We just launched a podcast which everyone can listen to. I think it's on our website, but it's also on all podcast channels, called The Fourth Wall, which is where we take leaders in diverse fields. We ship them off to the moon, and they get 3 movies to take with them. Similarly like to Desert Island Discs, but this time it's on the moon, and they're choosing movies. And through those movies, we learn really about them, the importance of story, and learn some very important lessons in tons, again, different fields about what it means to be a leader, what it means to be in the creative industries, and what it means to go digital.
And some really good historical podcasts on there as well.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that. Thank you for those who put questions in. Please do get in touch with us. We hope to work with as many of you as we can in the future. We appreciate your time. Jessica, Tim, Nicola, appreciate your time. It's fantastic to do this together for the first time in many years. Worth mentioning too that the bulk of what we do is all online. It's as interactive as we can make it. And it allows that to be fully accessible and open across the diverse geography of the Highlands and Islands. So again, that will be how this year 2 is delivered, with the exception, possibly, we did a micro conference last year called Shared Perspectives. We're also looking at doing another one of those, hopefully, which we'll announce details of on our website too, in the Highlands and Islands. But predominantly, all of our support services are fully available online. So doesn't matter where you're based. This is fully accessible and open to you. And thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, and thanks for tuning in. Thank you.